Hi, Mary Ruddick here for CaptainSoup.com, and today we're going to talk about an interesting topic called histamines. Now, you may think of histamines as allergies, right? Maybe you get spring allergies or winter allergies, or you may be more associated with this condition if you have a condition called Mcad or MCAS or histamine disorders, anything in the spectrum. Histamine intolerance is a very interesting condition that can be caused by three different things. It can be caused by DAO enzyme insufficiency, which means that your body does not produce the DAO enzyme that you need to break down histamines. It can be caused by bacterial dysbiosis, so too many antibiotics, or C-section birth, or not nursed. There's so many causes of bacterial dysbiosis. But when there's a lot of bacterial overgrowth in the gut and throughout the body, you can have too much inflammation going on. So you may be producing your DAO enzyme, but it's not getting to your enzymes to break it down. That's the second cause. The third is an epigenetic condition called Mcad, and we're starting to see it a lot more. We're especially seeing it in our long COVID cases. It's getting triggered by this infection. It is a condition that technically, because it's epigenetic, can get turned off if you work on the microbiome enough, potentially. No promises, but people have done it. And it is perhaps the hardest of all of them. It can be the most severe. Now, all three can be quite disabling, or they can be light, depending on how severe your condition is. But it's an interesting condition because it's not just caused by foods. Now, most people with histamine spectrum disorders know that things like spinach or walnuts should be avoided, very high histamine foods. But what they don't know is that their lifestyle comes into play just as much as the foods that they eat, and also the food frequency in which they eat. Every time we eat, our body generates histamines as part of the digestive process. So you can be eating an antihistamine food and producing histamines in response to that. This is part of why the public is so confused when one gets diagnosed with one of these conditions. You go onto forums and one person's saying, I can't eat garlic, and another person is like, well, but that's an antihistamine food, it should help. So it can be very confusing because each person can really kind of have their own food list in the beginning until they learn how to manage the condition and they tolerate more foods. Now, histamines are produced when we digest foods, but they're also produced in times of stress. And this is stress to the body, not always stress to us. So don't just think an argument or an emotional upheaval. It can be a poor night's sleep. It can be flying in a plane that actually produces a lot of histamine, so travel can do it. There's all sorts of things. Infections will increase histamines. Your menstrual cycle will increase histamine. So there are many causes that, or biological functions, really, that create a bit of a histamine storm in the body. Finally, there's foods that grow histamine, so to speak, over time as well. Pork is a good example, very low histamine when it's fresh, but if it's not fresh, it could have a good amount of histamines. Now, there's a couple different ways to go about treating this condition and mitigating it as well, and ironically, they're opposites. You can go with our green machine soup. It's a great antihistamine soup. I use it with my clients with histamine disorders, and you can eat nothing but that for a couple weeks to lower your histamine levels and see how you feel. You can also do the opposite approach, which is the carnivore diet, of course, but we've got this great soup you can go for, so that's a great option. Anyway, if you're interested, try it out. I don't have histamine disorders. I'm healthy, but I eat our histamine soup all the time. In fact, I just had it yesterday. It's really wonderful. So you don't have to have a histamine disorder to enjoy it. But if you have a histamine disorder, take advantage of this because there's not really other food companies that are making a product for histamine disorders that you don't have to make yourself. So let's reduce that stress a bit. Enjoy some soup. Ask me any questions you like below. There's so many things to go into with histamine disorders, Mcad, long COVID that we can go into. So bring your topics up down below and I'll shoot another one.